everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today I'm looking forward to today's conversation. I have a man by the name of Clarence Brown. He's an author, and he is the founder of, let me get it right, Relationships Healing Coaching Services, right?
Yes, indeed.
All righty. So we're going to be talking today about relationships, what I love to run my mouth about all day. So I'm going to have myself a good time. But first and foremost, let me express my gratitude, appreciation for you making time for me today. I tell everybody time is a gift. Once you give it, you can't give it back. So I appreciate you sitting down with me today, and welcome to the show.
Nah, thank you so much, Lana. I'm honored to be a part of your platform, and I'm glad you reached out to me. Relationships, as I said earlier to you, is one of my favorite topics to discuss. And I feel like there's so many things to discuss with relationships. So I'm grateful to be on this platform. I thank you for allowing me and gracing me to be a part of your stage.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now, you are where?
Florida? I'm in Florida, Tampa, Florida.
Tampa, Florida. Okay. Back in my young girl days, my dad was in the military. We were stationed in Tampa Bay, Florida. So I spent a little bit of time down there. So let's go ahead, get into this, because once I get going, I can get going here. So hopefully I'm gonna try to keep it in check here. But I was going through your YouTube channel. You have your own podcast, correct?
Correct.
And tell us, what is the name of the podcast?
The name of it is Male Translations. Male like men, not male like post office. Translations. And so I came up with that because I recognize there's so many things that we as men say and women interpret different. So my tagline is the difference between what men say and women hear. So I've been doing that for a while now. And, I'm basically just trying to give men a voice, and also do my best to bridge that gap of understanding and communication between men and women, and try to make the relationship experiences between both sides a lot better.
I love it. We have so much work to do, but I just have faith that we're going to get it. But I want to, because I did take some time watching your videos, I kind of want to revisit some of the topics that you talked about. So please indulge me. Okay.
Sure.
One of the first things that I came across that I want to discuss, because it's just like a thorn in my side, is how social media plays out in relationships. So I want to pose a question, scenario, or whatever. A man who is looking for a relationship, who is looking to invest in a woman, settle down, white picket fence, build generational wealth, have some kids, later on the grandkids come by, whatever. Does he look at a woman's IG who's got the bathroom booty shots, or maybe her OnlyFans account, and see possibility or potential in that?
No, for the most part, no. Now, I will say that there are exceptions to the rule, but with most exceptions to the rule, there aren't in high enough number to really be able to compare to what the real rule is. So I say that knowing that there have been women who have found the love of their life, or have found somebody that they can build a life and future with, maybe having, the IG booty shots or the OnlyFans accounts and things like that. But I think that nowadays, more men are checking out those other areas of where, your representation may be. So if it be, your Facebook, your Instagram, TikTok is blowing up now, all of those things matter to today's man when it comes to how you represent him online. Because when other people find out who you are, then they want to know, hey, well, shoot, if you with my dog Clarence, I want to know, what you all about. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, if you go back further enough, you'll see people's, I don't know, the way they represent themselves change over time. So I think for most men, that is something that they look at. It is not going to be something that automatically disqualifies a woman from being a part of his life, but it does play a big role, because a man doesn't want to be embarrassed by the image you portray or what you put out before you guys come together. So
okay. Now, I guess that leads me to my next question, because social media is just really here. It's just ever present. It's just, you can't get away from it.
Right.
And men are visual.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are looking. My question, I guess, is, are today's men, are the bulk of you, the masses of you, looking for relationships, or are you just looking for the, this is nice to look at and this is maybe nice to do something with for a moment in time, or are you looking for committed relationships?
I think men are. I think men are, but the term, it's dependent upon where he is in his life. And a lot of the men nowadays are seeing it to be better not to be in a relationship because of the expectations and responsibilities that they have to uphold within that relationship. Now, again, that doesn't mean that relationships have completely gone off the map and men aren't really caring for that anymore. But I think right now, on both sides, there's such a disdain and distrust for each other that I think that both men and women are looking at each other and saying, I don't really care to do this whole thing with you unless it's going to be a surefire win. So for men on our side, I think that men are looking at it and saying, okay, well, I need to see certain things pretty much right out of the gate for me to make an investment in you. And women on the other side are saying, I've made too many investments. I'm not going to show you all of that, which I have and what I possess, without you showing your value and your worth first. So I think it's more nowadays of a standoff between both sides, because you'll have men that feel like they have, invested much and hadn't gotten much return. And the same to be said for women. So I do think, again, men are looking to find that right person, but I think that now the criteria has become a lot more numbers. It's a lot more behind what the criteria is for men to say, okay, well, this is something that I'm willing to move all the other things I have to the side to focus on this one woman.
Okay, so I guess what I heard you say in there, I need some clarity on when it comes to today's dating, modern dating, what do men feel like is expected of them?
Honestly, I think from what I hear from fellas is too much. What is expected of them is too much, meaning that the focus is on who you are in terms of what you bring to the table. And then once that criteria is met, then we get to explore who you are as a person. And I think that when it comes to men, I think that that's a little bit distasteful for men that haven't done anything wrong to a woman that feels she's going through so many experiences, that now the process of qualifying for her time or her energy or anything like that is a lot more. It requires a lot more for him right out of the gate, which a lot of men are saying, well, that's too much. That's too much. We should both come into it with a clean slate and not put so much of, hey, well, I've been through this, so now you've got to deal with the fact that this is where I am due to my experiences. And so a lot of men are saying, well, it's too much nowadays, and goes back to what the question you asked before, where men are saying, well, if I'm going to be in a relationship, I need to find that woman who doesn't mind stepping up and saying, hey, I'll do what I need to do to show you my worth and my value. And so it's just a watching game. It's too much distrust. It's too much of this, hey, well, show me first and then I'll show you what, show me what you got, then I'll show you what I got. And that's on both sides. And I can only speak for men, but I also counsel women. I hear these type of things, and they may say it in so many different ways, but ultimately when you pull back the curtains, it becomes, well, I've been hurt and I done this and I had a man like, and so it has men feeling a certain type of way about it as well. And that's why I said too much. It's not for me, but from what I hear from majority of men, it's like, well, they're requiring too much nowadays and yet don't have the same requirements themselves as what they asking of me. And that's too much.
Gotcha. It reminds me of a social media post I saw not too long ago. A girl was saying, and I want to say girl, but she was a woman, but girl mindset. I need a man that can handle me. And when I saw that, I was like, that seems exhausting to me. You know, if you're in a partnership with a man and he has to leave his front door and go out and handle the world, why we want to come home and then have to handle you? And she thought it was totally acceptable. And I was like, that's exhausting. But it kind of plays into what you were saying. It's like, you know, as a woman, you know, we modern women today, you know, you want you to put up with so much stuff as a man. And I mean, it's heavy. It's just heavy.
It is, especially in our community. I think that a lot of women have been told that a woman should be a man's challenge.
Mm,
And what I see in other races is women focus on being a man's inspiration, you know,
mhm.
and the thing is, I think that nothing is a guarantee. And so whenever you're putting yourself in the game of life or in the game of dating, there's no guarantee that you win. But I think that so many people can't accept the loss and move forward with their head high, knowing who they are and with dignity. And so when it comes to getting into another situation, there's an expectation that, hey, well, I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing I need to fix. There's nothing I need to heal.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you step into the same cycle perpetuated with another person. And I think that this notion of a woman being a man's challenge, it's okay if I listen, I'm a challenge, like, you know, like that air grabbing, snake neck and all of that, like that doesn't yield you, you know, fruit, because that spoils the situation. That makes a man feel like, you know what, like I can find better somewhere else in the peace department. And I think that's very
Yes.
big and is lost in our culture and in this new generation, because again, it's all about what can you do for me. I need a baller. I need somebody, you know, if broke
Hmm.
dudes don't get no cat. I know that's right. Like it's those type of things that, you know, make this message to women feel like, hey, well, I'm empowered to say if you ain't got it. And it's like, you know, we need to get back to communicating in good faith, and we need to get back to being able to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to judge you based upon somebody else's actions.
Okay, good points. And I struggle with all of this. And I tell everybody, I feel like I'm straddling the fence because I'm like one foot in one generation, but I'm here in this new
Like a middle
generation.
child.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look around and like, okay, but I want to kind of focus on the social media and this straddling the fence that I'm doing. Uh, so let me give the example. So back in my parents' day, my grandparents' day, even my early dating days, I'm 52, as I said, there was no such thing as dating apps, online dating, or
Mhm.
anything like that. Uh, Most of the time, when you were to date a guy, it had to be somebody in your community,
Right.
and with that, you came with his resume and his bio because your next door neighbor, your classmate, the clerk at the grocery store could say, oh, that's that Johnson boy. He come from a good family. He got him a weekend job at the hospital. He go over to his grandmama's house every Thursday and cut the grass. So he came with the background check already. But today with internet dating, you don't know what the heck you are getting. But a lot of people are saying, well, you know, it's opened up our options and we have more opportunities. I'm just wondering, is it really easier to find committed relationships with the internet thing?
Listen, I'm gonna say this right. What I recognize, it was studies that show that when a person has more options, it takes longer for them to choose. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, McDonald's didn't start with the nuggets and the, you know, the Sunday and the McRib, and they were just straight burgers and fries right off the rip. Once they started to get a lot more people noticing what they were doing and really buying into their you know, the things that they were producing, then they started to expand the options. But oftentimes there's successful restaurants that only have a few things on the menu. It's a short menu, maybe 10
Mm-hmm.
items, right? And you wonder why. Hey man, look, but they make those items so good that it's like you keep coming back and you know what they got, you know what you want. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that sometimes people don't recognize that just because there are more options doesn't mean it becomes easier to choose, or your choice is going to be more of the right choice when you make it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that yes, back in the day, like I think, see, what happens is that a lot of people believe that, hey, back in the days, like that didn't work, right? And I think that sometimes the notion of, hey, granddaddy and grandmama, they like, yeah, they was married 30 years, but they didn't really love each other. And granddaddy was all like, oh, and again, exceptions to the rule. I think that notion, that narrative has been pushed so much to where women believe that, oh, well, shoot, if I get with a man and we together 20, 30 years, that, yeah, he gonna have another family on the other side of town. Like, if we line 10 men up from the past, it the way women speak about it is as if 8 or 9 of those 10 will all have separate families and separate lives, which was not the case.
That's true.
It was maybe like 3 to 4, but yet for that 3 to 4, they now have labeled the entire group of men as, hey, that's what it, you know what? So we done with that now. We on to something new. And yeah, you have more options nowadays, but that don't mean that that's going to make it easier for you to make the right choice. I mean, how many times, I don't know how many times I've gone to a restaurant wanting to try something new. Then when I get the plate, I'm like, damn, I should have just got what I always get. I'll be like, man, shoot, man, I like half of it. I didn't know it was going to come in such a little portion.
Thank you.
Taste this bad. I should have just got what I always get, right?
Thank you.
I think that has, you know, lost its value because so many people see all the bright lights and colors and so many options, so many different flavors of individuals. Oh, he's 6'5", or this person got muscles, he got money, and designer. This one, you know, he got a million followers. All of these things seem to quantify a man's value when ultimately it has nothing to do with his character, his morals, his
That's
beliefs.
right.
Align with yours. And so we get a lot of women get caught up in the chemistry and totally don't focus on compatibility until it's too late. But then, you know, the men get the bad label after that.
I mean, nobody's sitting down and saying, okay, you know, what are your financial thoughts? What are your views on parenting? You know, where do you want to be in 5, 10 years or whatever? I mean, things that really make a relationship grow and last a duration. I don't know. Everybody just seems to be living in the moment, in the now. And do you really want a relationship? At this point, I'm like, do you guys really want relationships? I'm questioning. I don't know, because it seems like everybody just walk around, be miserable and fuss. Ain't nobody good on both sides of the table. He ain't good, she ain't good. I just, you know, get mine and keep it moving.
I agree. And I think that that's just the way things are evolving. I don't think, you know, when I said earlier, I do believe that men still want relationships. I believe I may be in the high minority with my opinion with that. I still stand on that, but I do recognize the mindset of, or not the mindset, the climate of where things are on both sides. So it's a big standoff right now, generationally, between men and women, because ultimately now the value is in freedom and quality of life that people feel like is better without boundaries, without structure, without having to, you know, gain someone else's consent with decisions that you make. So ultimately, I think that nowadays men and women are saying, hey, well, I'm living my best life, right? But your best life isn't supposed to last for years and years. And what was your best life turns into your worst situation, because now you find yourself single and all you have is complaints about why things can't go in your favor. And you never took that time in the time where you were looking your best, you were in your best shape, you were, you know, pursuing greatness and achieving goals. And then now you've gotten certain things and you accomplish it, but it don't fulfill you. And now you recognize how important family was, how important companionship is. But yet at the time, your best, I mean, Corona showed us that everybody's best life was put on hold for about 6 to 9 months. You know what I mean? And still people came out of that saying, but F all that, I'm going back to doing me. And that just shows you the stubbornness. That just shows you, you know, the lack of wanting to commit on both sides, because the feeling of having to submit somewhat to another person when it comes to decision making and just ultimately how you move. So yeah, people are saying, hey, I want to be free, I want to do my own thing, and yeah, that's fine until you do your own thing and you're on your own, and now you're by yourself all
That's
alone.
right. That's right.
In the house by yourself, and then now you feel like, you know, the world owes you something.
That's right. Yeah, I was reading an article, a research article, a couple of months back, and it was talking about this particular generation is the most depressed, lonely, feeling isolated or whatever. But everybody's out here doing me and living their best life. I'm like, well, how it doesn't equate? You're doing you, you're doing your best life, and you're living your best life. But at the same time, you're talking about you're lonely. So something's not connecting here.
Right.
Something's not connecting here. So I want to ask my next question, and I want to continue on straddling the fence on this generation, past generation, and present generation.
Let's do it.
Um, Now, one of the things that I really see prevalent in today's relationships is materialism. These relationships seem to be very materialistic. So, going back to my grandmother, let's say my grandmother would see a dress that she liked in a catalog or out on TV. What she would do would she would go to the store, buy the pattern, buy a couple of yards of fabric, come home, pull out her sewing machine, and make the dress. She would set my grandfather back maybe like $5, $10 at best. In today's relationships, a guy can realistically kind of see a nice looking woman out in public and kind of give her the up and down scan and say, her hair, be it natural or a weave or whatever, that's a couple $100. Will that fit? Oh, that's a couple $100. Oh, nails, pedicure, that's another couple $100. Do men look at women and say, that might be a little bit too much of a financial investment for me to make?
Not based off of how she dresses or how she appears, but it is a judgment made off of her mindset and what she values.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't come from our skin, and I can notice that from head to toe, you probably wearing about $1,000 worth of clothes and jewelry, and little pieces and things like that, right? It's not that assessment isn't made off of that, but once we communicate and once I see what you feel like your value is and what you should be granted or what you're entitled to, then that assessment is made by men. So I think that there are men that even have it to spend and don't mind blowing it. But yet over time, it's like, okay, but wait a minute now, hold on. It seems like, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, forgive me if I venture to say it seems like you're trying to take advantage of me. You know what I mean? So nowadays there is, like I said, this mentality where it's like I said, a little, I think it was a Cardi B little line, broke dudes don't deserve no cat. I know that's right. Everybody, I know that's right. Let me pop, let me turn, let me touch the flow. And it's like, okay, all that is good. But at the end of the day, I think what a lot of women are missing is that women gain their ring from their mindset. Mm-hmm. When it comes to men, how you view men, how you view relationship is going to determine how much longevity you have in a relationship. Because I see, here's the thing, fine women are getting sexed and left, but the women who may not have it all together in the attraction department are still having husbands. Mm-hmm. Why is that? That's because they say that, you know what, like, what another woman's trash is another woman's treasure. So I'm going to treat him like he needs to be treated and just put my best foot forward. Now, what happens from that, we both aren't able to control, right? As a man, I'm going to make my own decisions regardless of the fact I have my wife. Now, as my wife, I will confer with her before making decisions, but understand that if I really wanted to do something, I'm going to do it regardless. Mm-hmm. And she can't control the fact that she can tell me a million times and I might not listen, right? Mm-hmm. And the same to be said with me and her. If she decides in her mind that she ain't trying to hear what I have to say, then she's going to make her own decision no matter what I tell her. Mm-hmm. But yet, the thing is, so many women want it to be a guaranteed win, and they believe that if a man has the money to spend, then that's a guaranteed win. But when I question women, I poll them, I say, would you rather have the man making $100,000, but yet you don't ever see him because he's always out of town and he always working and he always do this? Or would you rather have the family man that's making $40,000, but he's there with your children? Y'all going to the park, y'all doing little simple things as a family, y'all have that bond, right? A lot of women choose the $40,000 man, family man, but yet in real life are looking for the $100,000, can't see him, no, I never can find him type of guy. And it's like, that's to me like, okay, so what is it that you really value? You can't have both, but you want it all and feel like the value is in the guy who has more to bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And you know, even in that, like it's so much. Like I even did a post. I said a lot of women want a man to bring some to the table. What if what the man brings to the table is tools to fix your table?
Come
A lot of
on.
women don't like that, right? Don't come for me unless I sent for you. What you want? I'm good over here, boo boo. And the man is like, babe, look, I see you, like one of your legs is falling off on the table. Like, you know, the paint is chipping on the table. Like, what do we, come on, can I bring some paint? Can I bring some primer, some, you know? And she, I'm good. Like, I ain't never had no complaint. All right, cool. It's all good. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fall back then, since I see what I'm saying. So it's so many layers to it, but yeah, I'm gonna go on rambling. I'm like I said, these
Now
discussions.
you right there, right there, right there. I have a question, and it's as Black women, it's something I think that we struggle with a lot, and it plays out in different situations. So I kind of want to get your. I'm gonna be a client for me. I'm gonna use me as an example. I'll be a
Okay.
client, but it boils down to transitioning from being single to, oh, there's a man here, let him be a man, let him do things that a man is supposed to do. uh some sisters see it as submission, however it plays out. So let me give you myself, and you talk me through it. So I got with my late husband early. I was 20 years old. We were married for 12 years. And for the majority of the marriage, we had traditional gender roles. I cooked, washed, he did the trash, he cut the grass or whatever. There was some overlapping stuff, but for the most part, we had very traditional gender roles. But that's been 20 years ago. So 20 years, I've been cooking and cleaning for myself and taking out the trash, taking the car to get the oil change, whatever. So I've been doing that myself. So when a man comes along, I have to now transition from, I got it, I got it, to, oh, he's here. So two-part question. How do women make that transition? And two, how does a man make it easier for a woman to make that transition?
So a woman making that transition, it comes with anything that you do well, is because you've done it a lot. And I think that what you as a woman have to do, if you haven't had that man around, is don't forget what is necessary. You know, they say if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's harder once, you know, you've been by yourself for so long, or just for a while, and then all of a sudden now, you know, that new flame comes around, and then now you have to make that transition back to that. What I would say is that the easiest thing for you to do as a woman is to express what you like and what you want out of any man, right? And let that man determine if he can fall within those guidelines or not. Because a lot of times you save yourself a lot of trouble by saying, hey, you know what, like, you know, I'm the type of woman, like I'm kind of old school, I'm, you know, I like kind of traditional gender roles, and I think that works best for me. You know, when I was with my late husband, we did things like this, and I thought that always was something that kept us, you know, in a homeostasis between the two of us, and a good, you know, good connection between the two of us. Now, if that man that you have as new and a part of your life now says that, well, I want things the opposite way, then that still is a discussion where y'all come to a middle ground. But I think that the best thing to do is to state what it is that you like and what you feel makes you feel more feminine, makes you feel more in a woman's position within a relationship. And that, as a woman, I believe, will help you to get what it is that you're looking for. Now, as a man, what you say, what makes it easier on the woman is to also reciprocate that same type of energy and the same type of communication of what is it that you feel like is what makes you feel like a man, what makes you feel like you are in a position of, you know, being the head of the household and being viewed as a leader and a provider and a protector in the household, because things can make you feel belittled if not. So I think on both sides, the whole thing stems around the fact of you guys talking together and coming to a middle ground, because you haven't been together long enough to really make a commitment to submitting to somebody unless you feel like it's, one, reciprocated, and that two, it makes sense for you. So the number one thing for the woman, number one thing for the man is talk. You have to talk. And this is where so many people feel like, hey, I don't want to, when should I ask the question? I kind of feel this way. Like, I'm a big person that says, hey, as soon as you feel comfortable asking, uncomfortable questions to that person, I think that you got to pick your spots, but you should go for it, because it would be better for you to get it off your chest and off of your mind early than you spend time and things develop and then feelings develop, or y'all start to have sex and things like that, and then you recognize, like, man, I could have saved that body on my on my belt, like, you know what I mean, I could have saved that. Homeboy wasn't about nothing I was about. And I think that oftentimes that fear of losing and rejection or being back alone, where it's like, well, if you was alone, if you was single already, what you lose, what you got to lose? You know what I mean? You're just gonna be back single, but yet would you rather be single on the truth or in a relationship of lies?
True that. Communication, and that is something that you stress in your book. Come talk to me.
Yes, indeed. The Women's Guide to Why Men Don't Communicate. I hear a lot of women mentioning why they meet a man's representative, and why men are, presenting themselves to be a certain type of way when they're not really that guy. And
Yes.
just kind of, really digging into what makes a man stop communicating with you. My pastor told me this, to say, when a man's talking to a woman, that's something you got to really, as a woman, you got to pay attention to, because a woman can talk to a man all day and don't want him, right? Because that's just how y'all are. Like, listen, y'all just talking. It could be a guy, handsome or not, ugly, it don't matter. It's just y'all just, we communicate. But when a man starts talking to a woman, that's something, like, when he starts investing time and really getting to know, like, that's something you got to worry about. And I think that at the end of the day, I tried to express in a quick read in my book of what makes a man do certain things, operate in a certain fashion, ultimately stemming around communication.
Okay. Do you guys not want to talk to us, or what?
Yeah. But it's certain things about, when, like, example, what women don't understand is, over time, we both get to know each other, and we both know each other like the back of our hands. The problem is, a lot of times women believe that they know their men better than their men know them, right? And we both are collecting data on each other. And there's certain things that, as a man, like, I know when my wife may bring up certain subject matter, I don't even entertain that, because it's like, it's going to be an argument, because something may I might say the truth, and that truth might then start to argument or a disagreement, and now the rest of the night ruined, because why? You asked me for the truth, I told you the truth, and then now it's like a problem. So it's just certain things like that. It's certain things about how women communicate and how they want a man to respond to them, that men are just saying, man, listen, I already know how to go. I already know. You know what I mean? Like, stop playing with me. You trying to back me into a corner silently, and I'm not going for it.
I'm not sleeping on the couch tonight. No.
I'm not falling for the okie doke. And at the end of the day, there's also things that women may do, and it's all within the book, of course, that really make it to where a man may be heavily communicating with you up until a certain point, and then all of a sudden now he just seemed to be falling back. And you like, well, we used to talk about these things, and it seems like every time I bring this up, it's like, like, that don't mean he doesn't love you, but yet that still is a problem, because you don't want that type of relationship. That's not really, going to satisfy or fulfill anybody. If they feel like they can communicate openly without judgment or penalty.
Without judgment. And that's one thing I preach as well. You got to create a safe space where a man can feel like he can come to you, sit down and say what he's got to say, and he's not going to suffer the consequences for it. There's not going to be a space of judgment for it.
Yep. And so I have a chapter in the book of how to disarm a defensive man. And I think that's very, very big when it comes to when you're within a relationship with a man and he becomes defensive based upon his data on you. So, a lot of women feel like, well, he just acting a certain type of way. Like, he don't even want to talk. He just shut down on me. And he don't. Okay, all right, cool. But he's still in the house though, right? And y'all still together though, right? So he still finds some value in being with you, or else he would have left. But the problem is that he's become defensive, not because he just don't want to talk to you, he don't like you anymore. It's because of certain things about you that make him feel like he doesn't want to communicate with you anymore like he used to. And it's not the same. And ultimately, if you humble yourself and I would say, look, read that chapter, How to Disarm a Defensive Man. That'd be very valuable, ladies, because it's things in there that women can do. Like, it's example, if you've been in a relationship or a marriage for a long time, you can then say, hey, well, listen, I know I have these things to work on. I know sometimes I may slip in and slip up in this area, right? Something as simple as that can disarm him, because in his mind, he already knew that before you said it. So yeah, if you don't say it, then that's going to be used against you in the court of relationships. Because now when y'all having a discussion, he's gonna be like, nah, see, because every time I do this, you act like this, or you do that, right? Why don't you go ahead and get out in front of him? But yet that means that you have to lower your pride enough to come across genuinely when saying, you know what, like, I know sometimes I get an attitude and I get, I might lose my temper and stuff like that. And I need to work on that. I know that. And so, but I still want you to open up to me. I still don't want you to feel like, because sometimes, and I'll try to do better. See those things?
Yeah.
That, when hearing that on the receiving end, as a man, he might say, you know what, I'm going to try you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and say it. You know what I mean? You said all of that. I might feel like you're right, and since you admitted those things, now you've lowered my guard and my defenses of communication. Now I feel like I can open up and feel like we can speak without you repeating those same things, because you spoke about those things that you got to work on. So like those are the type of things that are within that chapter in the book that do really kind of help women to identify areas where they can improve communication with the man they're with.
Awesome. And you just kind of touched on something that I really see is a conceptual problem with today's relationships, is that it's an ever evolving state of work. You're constantly growing and working in relationships. And it seems like couples today are willing to throw in the towel after 20 minutes, like, this didn't work. Okay, bye. But they don't understand. Like, I used to roll over and tell my husband all the time, like, I don't like you today. I love you, but today I don't really like you. And there's going to be times like that. But it seems like today's relationships, if I'm not just like goo goo gaga in love with you every 24 hours a day, okay, this must not be working. And that's not true. It's just, we got to put some elbow grease in this relationship. And people, it just seems like people are not really willing to do the work, or there must be something better over there that I don't have to really work for, when that one requires work as well.
Right. But that goes back to the options though. That goes back to the options, because when it comes to, like, let's say you turn over to your husband and say, hey, I love you, but I don't like you. When in another relationship next door, they may say, you know what, just because I don't like you today, I'm stepping out, I'm calling my other dude, right? Or the guy saying, hey, I'm calling my other chick. Why? Because those are the options that make it to where if I'm unhappy, then these things can satisfy me. But it just blows my mind, because you still want to be in a relationship, but yet you look outside for satisfaction instead of just leaving and going. You see what I'm saying? But overall, that mentality stems from the fact that people feel like, because think about what you said earlier, right? When you say, hey, when your granddad and grandfather were together, or even just in the general sense of in the past relationships, right, where that person was had the background check on them and they were within your community. Well, yeah, you could say, hey, I could leave this, but yeah, what are my options out there? Because I already know what the landscape looks like in my community, right? So hey, you might have found somebody that, hey, at a certain time you may not like them, but you say, you know what, I'm gonna work this out, because of the fact that I don't think that there's like so many guys I may be able to get X, Y, and Z out of, even if they're within my community. Now the community is worldwide. Now people having long distance relationships in different states and all of this, and it's like, well, when y'all gonna come together? Well, we working on that. We just kind of, you know what I mean? And he say he's faithful to me, and I ain't been with nobody else, and it's like, all right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got some dry land down there.
Yeah. And that word options right there is the killer of everything that's going on nowadays. Everybody feel like my next relationship is one click away.
And another thing that I see a problem with, because I do small seminars for women, and I end up getting a lot of younger women in my classes, and I ask them the question all the time, well, who in your family do you have that can mentor you? Do you have any aunties or grandmothers? And time again, everybody's divorced, nobody got married, they don't have anybody to look at. And I guess it was easier for me because I had my grandmother, my aunties, or whatever. Like I made the joke about, I would roll over and tell my husband, today I don't like you, I love you, but today I don't like you. I remember my grandmother at the stove cooking my granddaddy's dinner, like, this man get on my damn nerves today, but he like cheese in his, so I'm going to make it. It was still I'm still here. Like we're
Still a
having a bad
commitment.
moment. We're having a bad moment, but that doesn't mean we have a bad marriage, you know. So
Mhm.
I was taught early the whole concept, but it seems like today's generation, we're really lacking for what to look at, what to model ourselves out. Where's the guideline? Where's the rule book? It's far and few between.
Everything that all about commitment, that word commitment, hey, nowadays the generation is not committing to a car loan. They don't want to buy no car, right? They're not committing to houses. They don't want to get no mortgage, a 30-year mortgage. And also when it comes to relationships, it's the same thing. Hey, I gotta commit for how long? And you're gonna be my only one person. You see what I'm saying? And that, like, when you talk about your auntie and everybody, like, that whole thing is stemming around the fact that, hey, I'm still committed to this, even if I don't like him right now. And that's so funny because me and my wife do the same thing. We'll get in disagreement, and then, like, we'll go to church or something like that. And then at the end of church, we'll be just looking at each other like,
Mhm. I don't like you. And it gets to
yeah.
the point where you don't even like the way they move their feet. Like, oh, he breathing. He get on my nerves. He breathing.
But yeah, those type of things happen, and the communication is the work that has to be had where nobody really wants to do it. And I often have told my wife, I say, listen, the reason why I'm talking to you about certain things is because I want this to work out. Understand that
Mhm.
if I wasn't communicating with you about this, it's because my mind has already left the building. I've already checked out. So
Mhm.
even if we don't come to an agreement, sometimes the agreement can be to agree to disagree.
Mhm.
You understand? And I think that sometimes that area right there, a lot of people don't really recognize. Hey, you know what? As long as I feel my perspective is respected, I don't have the need for you to agree with me, and I don't always have to agree with you. But at the end of the day, like in those I don't like you moments and stuff like that, you still have to communicate within those time frames. And even sometimes it may be, hey, I'm gonna just give him his space for a little bit, and that's knowledge and understanding. And Proverbs just say, hey, wisdom is the principal thing, but in all that get understanding. So, sometimes you have to understand your partner and say, you know what, I'm gonna give him some time, but we'll talk about this later because I need some straightening.
Thank you, because this ain't gonna be pretty if I talk right now.
Right.
Now, before I go, I want to ask you a question. You coach mostly men,
Mostly women.
mostly women?
I
Okay.
believe, yeah, I don't know why that is, but I've just chalked it up to a lot more women when it comes to self improvement, are investing more in self improvement, especially with relationships. So I see a lot more men say, hey, well, you know what, I might buy this course when it comes to entrepreneurship or it comes to business. When it comes to relationships, it's like, well, I got, again, options. So, the numbers game show that there's more women than men. So men feel like, well, if it don't work out, I'll figure something out. I'll find somebody that's going to get on my program. And I think when it comes to investing in relationship development and personal development, I think a lot more women nowadays are taking that opportunity and putting some money behind it.
Okay. So my question is, when you're coaching women, and I know it might be a tad bit different for some individuals, what advice or tips do you give them on what they should look for when they're looking for a husband?
Mhm. I tell them, hey, look for compatibility because compatibility will last.
Mhm.
Chemistry does not last. I have two things that are on my website, relationshiphealing.co. One is free. It's called the high quality man versus low quality man audit checklist. All
Mhm.
right. Now that basically gives women the differences between what a high quality man will show and what a low quality man will show. It also gives them indications on what things that the differences in those men will say. Like you'll find that low quality man is, yeah, he's the one that's going to keep asking you to borrow your car. He's the one that's going to keep asking you how much money you said you make again. And yeah, you say you make this amount of money, what's the problem? Like stuff like that.
Mhm.
Things are said from low quality men that a lot of women don't pay enough attention to and see it as a red flag enough to identify who this guy really is in in an expeditious fashion, to where they don't feel like they're making too much investment in something that ain't gonna work. And then I also have a course, an online course on my website called How to Attract a Quality Man in 30 Days. And that
Mhm.
really is to, again, help to identify the difference. We all know of guys that we can qualify as, hey, this guy's a great guy. He loves his kids, loves his mom, take care of his lady, God-fearing man, right? And then you know some guys that's, hey, it's just players. It's all about getting a notch on your belt. Got game for days like 2K. Can riddle you out your draws. You know what I mean? Got to come back for everything you say. But at the end of the day, ain't really about nothing. And so in your life, you can probably say, I know maybe one or two, and I know a few of them like this. And so now when it comes to relationships, I think women don't, I said this before, emotions for women is like alcohol. Because for a lot of ladies, the first thing it attacks is your decision making. So when a woman attaches herself emotionally to a man, she don't recognize until it's too late that this man was never meant for her. But yet the thought of having that new flame, having somebody showing interest, oh, he texted me in the morning, hey, beautiful, how you doing? And hey, I hope you got home safe. All of that may have been because he had a mission to fulfill, which was to get in your panties. And then after that, it's like, man, I'm on to the next. You see what I'm saying? But yet, if you're able to identify a guy earlier, if you're able to know what quality men are looking for, what I did, I interviewed 200 men to be able to come up with the information for this online course of men of quality and high character, so that women can now be able to understand the difference in how to attract those men and what they're looking for. So I think that chemistry is a killer of women's relationships, because you see that as compatibility, and it's not. All you feel a way right now, and 5 minutes later, something could happen and you can feel completely different. You can feel a way about that guy, then he does something that just turns you off, and you're like, oh hell no. And next thing you know, that chemistry is gone, and you recognize, you start seeing it. You ever seen somebody after you dated and then look back and like, what the hell was I thinking? Like I don't even like him. Like, he's not even attractive. But look, he stank too. He kind of musty sometimes. I was just overlooking all of that. You see what I'm saying? Right. But why? At the time, I know. My biggest benefit was that I can make a woman laugh and smile. Right. So when it came to my days of when I was just trying to hit them, split them, and quit them, all I knew is if I can keep her smiling and showing her teeth, I'm probably gonna get somewhere at the end of the night. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens with a lot of women. And then now you chasing a guy that ain't really he ain't even paying attention to you, and there's no compatibility. But yet, sometimes you gotta run into a wall before you recognize where you're going. So I would say focus on compatibility and it's not so much chemistry. That's why I said, if you have to speak about the things that you desire, the things that you like, things that make you happy within a relationship, maybe the things you've experienced, if that guy is not able to fulfill that, so be it. But recognize it's better for you to have a relationship on truth than a relationship on lies.
I got one last question, because I just heard you say something that made me think of my great auntie. She used to always tell me, you gotta let men get to about 40 before he grow up. And I heard you just say, back when you was, just keep a smile on their face and you was trying to hit him. For you personally, what caused your growth? When did you grow? Say like, no, this ain't how it's supposed to be no more. I gotta stop this.
Honestly, because I knew what I wanted, I knew what I needed. I just didn't find it yet. And I was doing that based upon being hurt in the past from situations that didn't go my way. So, just like women would do, as a man, I did. So I felt like, oh, well, certain person mistreated me or overlooked me or thought I was less than because I wasn't in position where she wanted to be. And so I took that to heart, and I got in my feelings and said, you know what, I'm not even going to give them my heart. I'm just going for what services me. And ultimately, even behind all of that, I knew that that's not really what I wanted. I just wanted somebody that genuinely appreciated me and showed value in me, and really just made a commitment to me. And so when I met my wife, when we dated, it wasn't too long after that we made a commitment to become boyfriend and girlfriend, right? And even that was aligning with what I believed in, because I was the type of guy, I was going to take you out, I was going to show you a nice time, I was going to spend some money on you, but I wasn't going to be nobody's fool. And so when it came to women before my wife, it was women that were also attractive and had curves and all kind of, you know what I mean? It was all looking good on the physical side. But yeah, it's like, if you weren't under the same beliefs as me and saying, you know what, I'm not out here to just be running around, then that was something that I was really into. So that kind of worked out with me and my wife. And then I saw through communication that we really had the same type of beliefs and thoughts on certain important things. And so it developed a lot more quickly than it did with other relationships. And like, some of them were very, very attractive, but yet I wasn't going to be that guy to spend money and, then drop you off and let the next guy blow your back out. Like, come on, man. You got me, man. You got me messed up, man.
Where they do that at?
Yeah. I tell you, I told my wife one time I had a girl. I took her out to eat. We kicking it, and then I take her back to her house. Now at that time, she was living in an apartment complex, so we were kind of hanging out in an apartment complex or whatnot. And then she decided, hey, I got to go. I got to do this and that. And so she goes upstairs to her apartment. She lived on the second floor, and as I see her walk upstairs, I see her look back down and say, okay, come on, yeah, you can come on. And there was another guy hopping out of the car and walking up with her up the steps. I said, oh, hell no. You just be the last time you see me. What? And when I seen her reach back for his hand, that's what let me know that there was something going on. I was like, nah, because it could have been a maintenance man, it could have been a janitor or something. But when she reached back and grabbed his hand, like, yeah, come on. I was like, oh, Lord, no.
And those be the same type of people bitter because people want to play games with them. You can't give that energy up. Let me go back to my grandmama days. I just want to date like that. I can't do y'all. I can't do, and I can't even say because it's some 50, 60-year-old doing the same stuff, the 20 and 30 years. I'm so out of place. I'm so out of place. And because when me and my late husband got married, we didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Like the first apartment we had, it was 2 chairs from the thrift store, a bed, but we committed to each other. We committed to the plan and we built together. So, I understand a brother coming to the table with nothing, but together we're going to get something. So I don't have the materialistic element. I understand commitment. I understand like we're not doing the option things. So it's a whole different energy. Mm-hmm. Than what's out there now. But I just tell the young kids or the people that are dating in this world, how's that working out for you? You happy? Is it working for you? That's all I keep on saying. Mm-hmm. Right. Do you, boo? If it's working, do you? But I don't think so. But that's why we have Clarence Brown out here. He's doing his part. So let me ask my random question.
Let's do it.
Let's see what we got here. How long you been married now?
Since 2009, so that's 11 years.
Awesome. Love it.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. See, I always mess up. I was with my wife since 2009, married since 2012, so that's 9 years.
Awesome. So y'all was a baby just like me then, huh?
Yeah. I met my wife when I was 22, and then we started dating when I was 23. But it's so funny. She always make the joke because I took a month to call her when I got a number. I said, listen, at that night, I got like six girls' numbers. So it was hard for me to remember, okay, which one was this one? Was it with the big booty? There was one with the short.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, it was, hey, I'm an honest dude. So at the end of the day, but I ain't tell her right off rip. I was kind of like, you know what? Something had happened to my phone. I had dropped it in some water. And then, then the screen got messed up. So I had to get everything worked out. It was all lies. I just had because I had forgot which one at that time, and it happens. It happens.
It's kind of a catch-22 with getting married younger, because you're not really who you are. You're not grown. But I think one of the things that was a benefit for me, you're not as bumped and bruised as much. So you're more flexible, you're more pliable, you're more willing to kind of bend and grow in the relationship. By the time you're 40 or 50, if you've been consistently in the dating world, you've got so much baggage and it's kind of hard to kind of get with somebody. But, that's one of the benefits of settling down early. Let me go ahead and stop running my mouth. What's one thing you always procrastinate on?
That's a good one. I don't know. It depends what realm it's in. Like if it's with my wife, what's one thing I procrastinate on? I don't know.
Where's she at? Where's she at? Let me ask her.
She ain't here yet. She ain't here.
Let me ask her.
What's one thing I procrastinate on? Probably doing stuff around the house. Sometimes she feel like she have to ask me multiple times. I'd be like, I'm gonna do it. I forgot. I just, I'd be ripping and running, doing so many things. That's probably it. Just doing certain stuff around the house. She have to ask me a couple times before it get done. So I can't admit without her being here.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. And then it becomes a power play. Just because you done asked me 4 or 5 times, now I'm gonna make you wait longer. I don't understand what you see. The sink is just dripping water, but I don't know what that is about y'all. But that's okay. All righty, Mr. Brown. All righty, Mr. Brown. How do people connect with you for your coaching services? How do they pick up the book? How do they check out the podcast? Just let us know how we get in touch with you.
Well, 2 ways. Number one, you can go to my website, right? Relationshiphealing.co. It's not .com. Chop that M off. Relationshiphealing.co. You can find everything from one-on-one coaching sessions to my book, my online course, as I mentioned, my free high quality man versus low quality man checklist. I think every woman should have that in their back pocket. It's not like a Bible. It's not, a phone book. It's very, very quick, and it's electronic. So you download on your phone or your tablet and be able to read through it and be able to refer to it when it comes to certain guys you're dealing with. But my website is one way. And then also when it comes to my podcast, anytime I post something to my YouTube, it automatically goes and registers to my website as well. So okay. if you haven't seen a new episode, or you were thinking about, checking on, if something new has come out, or just going back through videos, you can do that through my website also. And the second way is through my t-shirts. Okay. So this one says, if you haven't been healed, don't talk to me. All right. This is all relationship healer merch, but also behind a guy I idolized, Nipsey Hussle, he came up with smart store, and I came up with smart merch. So on the back here, there is a QR code, just like how when you go to a restaurant, they have a paperless menu. And so all you have to do is take a picture of that QR code, and it'll give you a prompt to go to my website from the merch. So awesome. If you buy one of the shirts, I have this one. I have one that says melanated and loving it. I have another one says don't stress about it, you're blessed without it. All of those shirts have a QR code on the back that you can use to keep track and keep tabs on what's going on with relationship healing. My Instagram is relationship healing, Facebook relationship healing, Twitter the same. The only thing that's male translations is my YouTube. It's always been that, so I'm gonna keep it that. But you can tap into all the things that are going on through the QR code on the back. I'm gonna turn around. You see the little white logo?
Okay, yeah, there you go. All right.
Right. So you can use that, and just like I say, not every now and then, just scan it or take a little picture, put your phone up to it on the camera, and then it'll bring up that prompt and go straight to the website like that. So yeah, that's how you can connect with me, and that's probably be the 2 easiest ways.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say, I appreciate what you're doing. Anybody that's working in relationships, I just truly appreciate, because so many things flow from a healthy relationship between a man and a woman. Studies show that there's less crime in neighborhoods when there's couples in there. Kids are more likely to graduate from high school. You're more likely to have kids that go off to college. You're more likely to have men's health be better when you have healthy relationships. So there's so many things that stem from us having healthy relationships. So anybody that's out there doing the work, boots to the ground, trying to get us on the right page, I truly appreciate it. So thank you from me for all that you're doing.
Thank you for allowing me to share your platform. I'd like to have you on my podcast as well, if I can get you one of these days. I know the time difference is wide, but still we can find a way to make it work. So I'd love to have you on as well.
Yeah, I'd love to be there and run. Like I said, I can run my mouth about relationships, so we can go ahead and do that. But thank you for everything you do. Let me go ahead and wrap this up, because you got a little one you need to tend to.
Yes.
With that is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I'm your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time.
Peace.
Oh.